Week 1 is here, football's back, and I think we're all excited for this. I think you all should be too. What's up, everyone? My name is Jerry. You're listening to The Huddle. It has been a long off season, a bunch of free agency moves, a bunch of off-season moves, and I think at the end of the day, we're all ready for football to be back. The best sport in America is finally back. I'm excited. The World Cup was cool. Baseball's cool, basketball finals. It was what we were expecting. What do you mean, the Warriors? They're just the best team, and it's unfair how good they are. Okay, so we're here. It's the first season of, it's the first season of the NFL. No, it's the first week of the NFL, which means we have to predict scores right here and right now. So let me get this straight before we go on to the scores. This is the Huddle. This is the Huddle. And what the Huddle is, because this is one of the first ever weeks on my YouTube channel, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that. This is my first time actually posting this. What I'm going to do basically is be talking about every single game in the NFL this week and the next week and the week after that. This is not bi-weekly. This is a weekly show, and I hope you guys really like this. I've seen a lot of podcasts on Spotify, on iTunes, and all that, and I really like the way people make these podcasts. So much that I'm going to make a second podcast dedicated to my favorite sport team, the Green Bay Packers. If you ever heard of journalists like Aaron Nagler or Locked On Packers on Spotify, by the way, listen to that. It's a great podcast. These guys, they're very well talked, they're very well informed, and to be honest, they've informed me of things that I didn't know. One, media is the real thing. You got to be careful of what you say. Not just as a journalist, but as players in the NFL. So when I say I'm going to be making multiple podcasts, I'm going to make one podcast a week for the Packers and one podcast a week for the NFL. I would love to do NBA or baseball, but at this moment of time, that's not in my agenda. I'm actually studying actual stuff in college. I need time to do my work, but in the meantime, I like to record audio and videos for people outside because I want to be a broadcast journalist when I'm older. So hey, why not just start a podcast now and see where it brings me? So we're gonna start off with Thursday Night Football. It's tonight, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. It's tonight, and the Eagles and the Falcons are playing. Let me tell you what I think about this game. For literally like 2 years, the Falcons have been, I would say, they're a sick team. They're sick from their Super Bowl hangover. I think this is the day they finally wake up. I think we're going to see a little surprise from the Falcons this year. I know the Eagles are stacked offensively and defensively and on special teams, but in my opinion, I think the Falcons are actually going to steal this one. It wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles won, though, but I think the Eagles, they're coming back from the Super Bowl hangover. Falcons have something to prove. Matt Ryan just got a new contract. I think he's going to prove to the NFL that he's worth the money that he earned. But yeah, I think we're going to see the Falcons win tonight. Okay, so that's it for Thursday Night Football. I'm going to hang over to the Sunday games. So let's start off with the Bengals and the Colts. Andrew Luck's coming back, his first game back. His offensive line is awful, but I do think that he's going to be able to beat mediocre Andy Dalton. If you guys don't know, last year in the Huddle, by the way, before I continue, the Huddle is also a show on the radio, 93.9 FM, Plattsburgh, New York. That show is FCC regulated, so it may be a little bit different from this show, but we'll find out. I may just make it live and record it through the transmitter and also through my microphone, but we'll get to that point when we cross it. So as I said last year on the show on the radio, I bashed Andy Dalton every single week for being mediocre, and I was right. Andy Dalton isn't good. I'm sorry if you're a Bengals fan, but it's the truth. You look at the Bills and what they accomplished last season, but they realized something that their quarterback isn't going to get them far. You can only win so many games for so many seasons. In order to win football games in the future, you need to have a quarterback who's a franchise guy, and Tyrod Taylor was not that. I mean, he was a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But he's not a franchise guy, and I think the Bills found that out. I personally believe the Bills made the wrong draft pick on draft night. I think they should have taken Josh Rosen instead of Josh Allen. It's just my opinion. But we're going to see how that happens. We're going to see how Josh Allen develops. but in my opinion, I don't think it's going to go well. It wouldn't surprise me if he ended up being a Joe Flacco, a Matthew Stafford, strong arm guy. But as people on YouTube, like Irritating Tree would say, in order to play quarterback, you have to have accuracy. It doesn't matter how strong your arm is, but if you can't throw the ball, it's not going to go well. Going back to what I was talking about before with the Bengals and the Colts, I think the Colts are going to win. Plain out. They're home. Andrew Luck is back. T.Y. Hilton has his quarterback back. I mean, that running back and offensive line, we don't know how that's going to go. We don't know how his wide receivers are going to play. But in my opinion, I still think the Bengals can win this. Yeah, so that's it. I got the Colts beating the Bengals. Next up, Bills and Ravens. I kind of just transition into the next game. Bills and Ravens. This will be a very interesting game to see how the Bills defense does. I rooted for the Bills last year. I really wanted them to make the playoffs. They didn't make it in almost 20 years. So why not root for the Bills? And they made it. Congrats. And guess what? Think about it this way. You lost 9-3 against the Jaguars, who beat the Steelers and who almost beat the Patriots. So if you really think about it, the Bills could have gone to the Super Bowl last year. Obviously, that's just a little bit of hyperbole on my part, but I gotta have Bills fans be happy somehow. LaShawn McCoy is getting old. However, I'm hoping he has a great game right now because I have him on my fantasy team. He was a late round pick. But either way, LaShawn's getting older, and what we know about older running backs is that once you get older, succeeding in the NFL is very tough. Just for this game, I think Joe Flacco is going to have a decent game. I believe that in my brain, in my heart. I'm going to have the Ravens beating the Bills in this. I would... On any other day, I would think the Bills would win this, but this is the first game for Josh Allen as a quarterback in the NFL. I don't think it's going to go well. Buccaneers and Saints. The Saints went 12-4 last year, or 11-5. Either way, this team is legit. This team is one of the best teams in the NFL. I will say, as a Packer fan, thank you for the blessing that you gave us with the trade down. The Packers robbed the Saints of their first-round pick next year. In any case that Drew Brees would get hurt, they made the trade to acquire Teddy Bridgewater, which I believe is one of the most fantastic trades you can do right now because of what you gave up to get a decent outside linebacker, or I think he's defensive end. He could be good. He could be. But will he be? And that's the question that everyone's wondering. You're trading up 15 picks in the draft, or 14 to 13 picks, and you're giving up your own first-round pick next year for a guy who is supposed to develop well. For Saints fans, they were confused by that because the Saints are in win-now mode. They're no longer in, hey, let's rebuild. They got Alvin Kamara, who, by the way, great running back, great in PPR if you're playing fantasy. But he was the surprise of the draft last year, and I think he's going to still continue to be a decent running back, especially with Mark Ingram out. So with that said, I think the Saints are going to win. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Jameis Winston is out for a couple weeks. Am I correct? Let me actually... I'm going to actually look this up because I'm not even so sure. But I'm pretty sure he's suspended right now. Yeah, he is suspended. So you have Ryan Patrick starting for the Bucs. I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe they'll pull up the upset, but I just don't see that happening against a high-powered offense at home. So Saints are winning this game, in my opinion, no doubt. Now, here's a great game. Texans and the Patriots. Now, if you remember what happened last time when this happened, Deshaun Watson came out. Deshaun Watson's "Hi, I'm a quarterback" party came out. What was the score last time they played? I believe last year they played, and I think that was the game. Yeah. Well, okay. So last time the Texans and Patriots played, they lost 36-33. But hey, that was Deshaun Watson's, hey, I'm a quarterback party. That was his, hey, I'm going to be relevant in fantasy next year. So I think this time with the Patriots having a worse defense, not as much wide receivers, I think the Texans are going to make this game closer than it was last year. And hey, they only lost by 3 or 2 points. So I think it's going to be even closer. I think this could totally be a shootout. The Texans have a very improved defense. They got the Honey Badger. So I mean, I see the Patriots actually struggling here. The only way they won't struggle is if Gronk goes off, which is something that people all around the league have been talking about for a long time, is Gronk's coming out party. Gronk's goodbye to the NFL season. I believe he's going to have probably the best tight end season in the NFL. If not him, Travis Kelce. But in my opinion, I think the Texans are going to pull off the upset against the Patriots. Again, this game is a hard game to predict because this game can go either way. It's all about who has a better game at what time. But the Texans, I think they're very confident going into this game. As long as Deshaun stays healthy, as long as Hopkins stays healthy, and JJ and Jadeveon Clowney and the entire crew, I think that the Texans are actually going to be a team to beat this year. Okay, going on to the 49ers and Vikings. Everyone knows how I feel about the Vikings. They hurt Aaron Rodgers last year, broken collarbone, out for most of the season. I appreciate the Vikings as a team, but hey, let's be honest here. When I hope they lose, I really do. But as a professional broadcaster, soon to be one day, covering football, I need to have no bias here. So here's what we know: the Vikings are at home for this game. I got a little notification going off. Sorry about that one. But the Vikings are home. The Vikings have a better team overall. The 49ers just lost Jarrett McKinnon for the season with a torn ACL. Looking at this and looking at what the 49ers are as a team, they have a really nice offensive coordinator in Joe Callahan. I love the guy. Great offensive coordinator for the Falcons when he was there. Either way, Zimmerman's defense for the Vikings, if you don't really know, Zimmerman has such an interesting scheme. The scheme is to stop Aaron Rodgers. That's plain out and simple. But their scheme is still very, very good. And I think the Vikings are going to kind of come back from their loss against the Eagles in a strong way. I think they're going to finish out strong. And I think they will beat the 49ers. Just my opinion. Again, this is another game that can go both ways. Hey, if Jimmy Garoppolo goes off as hey, I just got signed, look at me shine and throw 5 touchdowns, which won't happen, but let's just say it did. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm gonna take the Vikings on this one. All right, Titans and Dolphins. For the longest time, I said that the Titans have a really bad head coach, and they've been mediocre for a very long time, wasting a quarterback's time in Marcus Mariota. Dolphins may surprise people this year, but in my opinion, the Dolphins have a Bills situation. The Dolphins have what I would call the Bengals situation, where their quarterback is mediocre. Ryan Tannehill, what have you done? Yeah, you can throw the ball accurately, but have you ever led a team to more than 10 wins? Maybe they have, maybe I'm just not informed enough, but Ryan Tannehill has never proved, to me at least, that he's a franchise quarterback and that he can take his team into the playoffs and win. Of course, you have Tom Brady playing against you in the same division, the GOAT, the best of all time, throwing. I understand that. Even so, I think what the Dolphins need to do is tank this season. They lost Ndamukong Suh. Hey, your defense just got worse. I think they should tank, and I believe they should get a high pick. With that said, there aren't that many quarterbacks in this year's draft. But the year after that, I think it's time for the Dolphins to move forward from Ryan Tannehill. I think they should do what the Bills did. Trade him for a 3rd-round pick. Trade him for a 4th. That may seem very low value, but in the NFL, it's hard to get a 2nd-round pick or a 1st-round pick easy, unless you're the Raiders. But that's beside the point. In my opinion, Titans are winning this game. Dolphins, in my opinion, this season, you guys need to rebuild starting now. Drop Tannehill, get a franchise quarterback. You're going to do well. And if you do it now, you'll be tied with the Jets. They got their franchise quarterback. Bills got their franchise quarterback. They got these franchise quarterbacks for when Tom Brady retires very soon. And I think that was a smart move on both those teams' parts. Go New York. Am I right? Yeah, I am right. Okay, Jaguars and Giants. Wow, this game is going to be one of the best games of the week. We got Jim Nantz and almost at Philly. Is it Jim Nantz? I think it's Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. I believe that's who's broadcasting this game. This is going to be a fun game because Jaguars have a great defense. Jalen Ramsey is a cocky little butt, and I think Odell is going to show him off a little bit, just a little bit. But who knows? Who really knows? The Jaguars, their defense is incredible. Saxonville, in the first round they drafted a defensive tackle. That defense is going to get stronger. I don't think they're gonna fall down the hill like everyone else thinks they are. I think the Jaguars are still going to be one of the teams to beat in the AFC. Saquon Barkley, his coming out party is today. You're going to be at home. You're going to be facing a very strong D line, but you are at home, and that helps. That helps the offensive line changes positions. When you see a blitz, you're going to see blitzes from both sides, and the quarterback, Eli, he's going to be able to change offensive line placement so that you can maybe stop a blitz, or maybe you can fill in an extra hole so you get an extra hole for Shaquan to get in. It wouldn't surprise me to see Shaquan reach 100 yards. I don't think he's going to. I think it's too early to predict that. But hey, who knows? This is the NFL. Anything can happen. Look at Alvin Kamara. So, in my opinion, I think the Jaguars are winning this game, but that's just my opinion. Wouldn't surprise me again if the Giants pulled out the W. Steelers and Browns. This really is going to be an interesting game. Browns almost beat the Steelers last year on one of the final games of the season, and that was kind of funny to see the Steelers almost lose to the Browns. Then again, I can't say much, saying the Packers had to be in overtime to beat the Browns, but that's beside the point. Steelers, Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. You can't say that much more. Le'Veon Bell is kind of doing a weird holdout thing, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to assume that Le'Veon is playing this Sunday. Steelers are beating the Browns. Baker Mayfield, he will be a decent quarterback. I believe he is one of the best quarterbacks in this draft, or in that draft, besides Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold. But I still believe the Steelers are winning because they're just an elite offensive team. Chargers and the Chiefs, this is a hard matchup because you have a rookie, I'm going to call him a rookie quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. He was technically a rookie last year, but this is his first starting game. It would not surprise me at all to see the Chiefs continue to strive in offense this year. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt. This is going to be a good team. Their defense, yeah, they lost one of their best corners, but you know what? It's going to be okay. I really think it's going to be okay. This season in general speaking, because you are facing the Chargers, who in reality are very underrated. Partly because they play in a really bad stadium and they are the Chargers. But I really think that the Chargers are going to be something this year. Just maybe something better. I did say in the beginning of last season that the Eagles had the best offensive line in the NFL, and they did. Well, basically they did. They won the Super Bowl. You don't win the Super Bowl by having a bad offensive line. I mean, you could, but not in this case. Chiefs, I'm predicting, are going to win on Sunday. It's just my opinion. I've been wrong before, and these Week 1 games are actually a lot harder to predict than they were last year. Because last year, I think I went, 11-1 in predictions. But this year, it really is a toss-up. Any team can win at any time. Just because the NFL is so unknown this year. Because of all these rookies. Because last year, a lot of rookies were great. So it's going to be interesting to see how this rookie class is going to stack up. Cowboys and Panthers. Okay, so everyone is rooting for Cam Newton this year. Everyone's rooting that DJ Moore is going to be a good wide receiver. I don't know. DJ Moore isn't a first-round pick, but you had to pick him in the first round because when you see wide receiver talent, you gotta take it. I just don't really know how it's gonna be. Cowboys, this is my opinion on the Cowboys. So listen up for this one. Dak Prescott, I believe, was made by Dez Bryant. Now, what I mean by that is, if you actually watch the games from the Cowboys last year, everyone's blaming Dez Bryant. Have you seen some of Dak Prescott's throws to Dez Bryant? It was awful. They kept going over his head. I mean, I believe in throwing a wide receiver open, but there is a point to that. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Cowboys relied heavily on Elliott. It really wouldn't. I think at this point, Elliott is the star of this team. Their offensive line, that used to be the best in football, they all have to get paid. And the problem in the NFL is salary cap. You can't keep everybody. And once Zeke and Dak have new deals to get, I don't know how the Cowboys are going to shape up anymore. I really don't. To be honest, I really thought Ryan Switzer was going to be a great wide receiver in the slot. I really did. But they traded him. So, who knows what they're going to be this year. This is a tough game to pick. But the Panthers are at home. I have to pick the Panthers in this one. Just to see where we are in the season with the Panthers. Don't know how they're going to do, but I'm going to pick them to win only because they're at home. Redskins and Cardinals. This will be pretty fun to watch, in my opinion. This will be a really fun game. You have Adrian Peterson as the starter, as our running back, playing for the Redskins. That's pretty fun. That's a pretty fun game. It wouldn't surprise me to see Alex Smith go off like he did in Week 1 last year. I think he's been underrated for a very long time, being overlooked by Aaron Rodgers' shadow. Again, Alex Smith really hasn't proved anything ever. He did lose a playoff game where he led, I think it was 21-3 or something. But I don't really know if that was more of the coaching staff than Alex Smith himself. But we're gonna see how this goes, and I'm gonna do this one as I think the Cardinals are going to win. I think they're very underrated. The Cardinals had the same problem as the Texans. They're just injured. I think the Cardinals have a chance to at least run in this division. This division is very, very tough, so it wouldn't surprise me if the Cardinals finish third. So I'm picking the Cardinals to win. It's just my opinion. Let's go on to the next one, Seahawks and Broncos. Well, here's my thing on this. I believe in Pete Carroll. I really do. And in my opinion, I really believe that Pete Carroll is going to bring the Seahawks back to relevance. Taking a running back in the first round, it's questionable. It really is. But Pete Carroll has developed this team before, and I think he's going to do it again. It would not shock me if the Seahawks are better than we expected them. If you look at the rankings right now this year, the Seahawks are in the 30s. Remember what they finished last year? They finished 9-7. Yeah, that was back when Richard Sherman was there. That was back when Earl Thomas was there. Cam Chancellor. First of all, Earl's coming back. But Cam wasn't. Cam retired. Richard Sherman went to the 49ers. Cliff Averill, gone. They still have Bobby Wagner. And he's one of the best he's almost at MLB. Well, technically, he's a middle linebacker. He's one of the best linebackers in the NFL. So, to be honest, it wouldn't shock me if the Seahawks are better than expected. I don't think they're going to win this game, though. I think Case Keenum's going to have a decent game. I think Royce Freeman's going to have a decent game as a first running back in the NFL, or a first game as a running back. It wouldn't shock me if the Seahawks, again, get good. I think their offensive line is going to be better than last year. They still are really, really bad offensive line. But their wide receiver core, it's still not bad. Brandon Marshall, Doug Baldwin. It's not bad. It really isn't. And I think people are making this team out to be bad. Have you seen Russell Wilson run outside the pocket? Because he's done it a lot. Aaron Rodgers had that same problem. He had a bad offensive line at one point. And he made plays running outside the pocket and throwing on the run. Russell can do that too. That's how he won a Super Bowl. So it wouldn't shock me at all to see the Seahawks actually be good this year. I think they're going to be decent. I think they're going to go 8-8, maybe 9-7. I don't think they're going to go 4-12. There's no way they're going to be that bad. It's just Pete Carroll is a decent coach, and I think it's going to show out this way this year. Bears and Packers. And this game I'm actually terrified about. I've never been so terrified of a division rival. besides the Vikings. Like Lions, yeah, the Lions always give the Packers trouble, but this is the Bears. This is the Bears with a different defense, a different coach, a different offense and defense. You have Khalil Mack on the outside rushing Aaron. I mean, hey, David Bakhtiari, best left tackle in the league, one of the best. Brian Bulaga, one of the top 5 pass protecting tight ends, one of the top 5 pass protecting linemen. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Khalil Mack not do well. And he's playing in his first game. There's a difference between being in shape and football shape. I think he's in shape. Is he in football shape? Well, he didn't play in any preseason games. I don't believe he's in football. I don't think he's in football shape yet. I don't think he'll play more than 20 snaps. So with that said, Packers are at home. Aaron Rodgers is pissed. He's coming back, and it wouldn't surprise me if he threw 4 touchdowns. It really wouldn't. The cornerbacks for the Packers, we look at it in a way, they're young, they're decent. Prince Akedamaro, I think, I don't really know how to pronounce his name. I feel bad, but he's decent. I think the Bears have a great defense this year. I just don't think right now is the time they're going to win. I have the Packers winning this one. I think Aaron's pissed, and I think he's coming back with a vengeance. First, he's going to beat the Bears, and then he'll beat the Vikings. That's just my opinion. I think we're going to see that, how pissed he really is. And if the Packers were to lose this game, I think it would either be because of the running back play or the cornerback play. So we'll see what happens there. Packers win this one. Jets and Lions. Okay, so interesting game here. I'm not a big fan of this game as a Monday night game, but I think that really could have been a Seahawks-Bronco game, but the Jets have to play a Monday night game, so this is the game they get. Lions in there. This is an interesting game. You have a quarterback who's new in Sam Darnold, a quarterback that I've been literally hyped about since he was in college, a quarterback where I thought that the Giants would take. Didn't. I believe they're going to regret that for 10 years now. But hey, Jets don't really have a lot of receivers right now. Bobby Anderson, I believe, is one of their names, or Robbie. I think it's Bobby. He's okay. But looking at that offense, I don't think they have enough power to beat the Lions. The Lions are underrated. I really think that the NFC North is the best division in football, tied with the NFC West. But in reality, I really do think that the Lions are going to beat this game. They're going to win the game because Matthew Stafford, he's experienced. I think their wide receiver core is really good. Their defense is never to be underestimated. So Lions, I'm going to have you guys win this game. Rams and Raiders, this will be interesting and fun to watch. I don't really know what the Raiders are doing right now. I understand in a rebuild standpoint, but you do have Derek Carr. You have a few wide receivers that are getting old in age. Jordy Nelson, Michael Crabtree. Michael Crabtree's on the Ravens now, isn't he? I actually don't even know that many Raider wide receivers. Oh yeah. Cooper. Yep, there we go. He's okay. I think a few of the older players are questioned by this move. A defensive player that can literally be the key to a defense. Trading him. Let me just say this. For people who don't really know a lot about the NFL, let me tell you this. Free agency is a time where you can sign people to your team. Something you should know about the NFL is that when a team has an outside linebacker, they never let them go. Von Miller will never be in free agency as a young player. Khalil Mack, at this point, he got re-signed. He's not going to free agency. I don't think we'll ever see J.J. Watt. I don't think we'll ever see Jadeveon Clowney. The next linebacker we may see in free agency who has relevance is Clay Matthews. I think Barkevius Mingo for the Seahawks. I think he was a decent pickup, in my opinion. But there really is never going to be an outside linebacker who is great. A top 10 outside linebacker, we'll never see that in free agency. He will get traded before a team lets someone like in that caliber let go. And that's what we saw here. The Raiders got 2 first-round picks. What I don't like about this trade is the fact that one of the first-round picks is technically a trade down because the Rams get a second-round pick back. So it's basically just trading down a round to get Khalil Mack. So I really think... Did I say Rams? I meant the Bears. The Bears got a second-round pick from this. And I'm not a big fan of this trade. I think the Packers could have gave them more, and I'm glad they didn't. I think the Packers should continue to rebuild. Not rebuild, but continue to build on their team. So yeah, the Rams are what I would call the Lakers of 2013. You add 3 stars to a team, and you see how it works. But who knows what this team's going to do. There is personality on this Rams team. There is a lot. Aqib Talib, first of all, Ndamukong Suh in the front. Aaron Donald in the front. Sam Shields, cornerback from the Packers. I loved him. Has concussion issues. But hey, the Rams, watch out. This team is a Super Bowl contender. The only thing that's in your way is your quarterback, Jared Goff. I said last year, Jared Goff, you had 1 season to prove that you're a quarterback. And what I mean by that, I actually mean he's decent. I told him, not on the phone, but I told him on this podcast that, dude, you're playing in LA, your home area, well, at least your college home area. You're playing on a field with a great field. You're playing on a field that's decent. You're playing in the warm. This is your game. Play it. And he did. He really did play. Is he elite yet? No, not yet. But I think having a team with Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks. I see this team doing some damage in the NFL, in both conferences. It wouldn't shock me if they made the NFC Championship this year. Okay, so I almost went on to week 2, but we're gonna save that for later. That's the end of the game decisions for this week. 30 minutes of talking. That was fun. Had a lot of fun doing that. Let's talk about the offseason a little bit, because I think it's really important that we talk about that. So the offseason went like this, basically. One player gets signed for a really high deal. The next team pays more. Davante Adams got re-signed for the Packers for a decent amount of money, but then later on in actual free agency, other wide receivers got signed for more, a lot more. And I think the Packers really stole Davante Adams of his money in this situation. So I'm really happy with that. But you see a lot of corners getting overpaid. That happens a lot. It didn't shock me there. But basically all you need to know is that a lot of teams got overpaid, and the Rams have turned into a mega team like the Warriors. But I'm not going there yet because they haven't proved anything, but the Warriors have. And then again, the Warriors actually built their team. Kevin Durant, I'm talking to you. You weren't a part of that. All right, so we're done with football here. Before we go on, let me just talk about a few things. Super Bowl contenders, my opinion, who's going to be in the Super Bowl this year. I would love to say the Packers. I think they're going to be decent this year. I think the Packers are making the conference championship game, but I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. I really don't. The teams I will see in the conference in the Super Bowl this year, as a prediction, as of 9/6/2018. Let me think about this one. Really looking at it, there's a lot of teams that could really make it far. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw Tom Brady in another Super Bowl. All they have to do is beat the Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's all they really have to do. I'm going to go with a shocker on this one. I think it wouldn't surprise me to see the Falcons in the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to go there. I'm actually going to just do the Saints. Saints, I think, are the best team in the NFC. They have a really good team. I think the Eagles, they also are going to be the best team in the NFL for 5 more years. So here are my top 3 teams to make the Super Bowl for each conference. Eagles, Saints, and I'm going to go with the Falcons as a surprise. I don't really know how they're going to do, but the Falcons always scare me. Just as a Packer fan, they really do scare me. In the AFC, I think the Patriots, the Jaguars, and the Steelers, those 3 teams, they're going to be really good this year. The wild card for the Super Bowl this year, I'm going to go with the Texans, the Packers. Those are my wild card teams that I think who will make the playoffs and will be in the wild card. I think those 2 teams, they will both be in the playoffs, I think they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl in that standpoint. I don't know how the Colts are going to do this year. I really wonder with Andrew Luck coming back. I don't think they're ready to go to the playoffs again. I think they could, but I don't think so. If the Jaguars, if Blake Bortles steps up for once in his life like he did in the playoffs, I think they could go to the Super Bowl. Tony Romo said the Packers and the Jaguars in the Super Bowl. That wouldn't surprise me at all, and I would be scared to death of playing the Jaguars. Totally would. If the Packers defense can stand up for once in their life with a new defensive coordinator and Mike Pettin, cool. I think they can actually beat the Jaguars. So I really need to make an actual official Super Bowl pick. I did pick the Saints and the Patriots. I'm going to make a second one too, just because I don't think that it could happen. I mean, it's probably going to happen because those two teams are great. But I'm going to go with the second one. I think the Eagles will be in the Super Bowl as well. I mean, this is my second pick. I'll do the Eagles and the Jaguars for the second one. So I have two Super Bowl predictions, technically. Patriots and Saints, and then Eagles and the Jaguars. So that's really it. That's about it for football. I'm really almost done with this podcast. Let's just talk about a few more things. Some things that are more local in the area. I think I've talked about how much I hate Knicks fans. I hate them all. Not all of them. Some of them are cool. I'm a Knicks fan. Been a Knicks fan since I was little. Jeremy Lin, shooting hoops. Went to the Rockets. Really upset about that. But the Knicks fan base is just... They're a bunch of people who think they're going to be great. I read a comment a few days ago that basically said that the Houston Rockets and the Knicks are in the finals this year, and Kevin Knox will be the MVP of the playoffs. No, shush. KP has a torn ACL. He won't be back until December. The Knicks have one more year of rebuilding, just one more year, maybe even two. But they're not going anywhere. That's my NBA talk. Also, DeMarcus Cousins, really? Are you serious? Going to the Warriors? Ugh. I can't believe that. I seriously can't believe that the starting five is going to be like the Western Conference All-Star team. But that's beside the point. Yankees, hell yeah, they're doing great. I mean, not great because the Red Sox are probably winning the World Series, but I was happy that they're most likely going to win 100 games this season. So that's fun to see. All right, so I'm going to head out now. Had fun doing this for the first time in a few months. So I'll be back next week with more NFL predictions, and we'll see how my predictions went. Until next time, I'm Jared. You can follow me on Instagram at Jared Parator. That's my name. So look me up there. That'll be fun. If you follow me, cool. Facebook, I have a Facebook page too, but I'll leave it in the description on YouTube so you guys can follow me on there too. My YouTube account, I have a YouTube account. Hey, it's JP. That's my YouTube. If you listen to this on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, Twitter, I don't really know what this can go on. So maybe I can try SoundCloud. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? That'd be awesome. Who knows if that's going to happen, though. Anyway, I'm JP, Jared, and I'll see you guys next week. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Stay tuned for later, guys. Stay tuned for later. Well, stay tuned for more podcasts from me. Bye.